threading the machine is done in 4 parts. Part 1 is to transfer thread from the spool of thread to the bobbin. The first step in part 1 is to place your spool of thread on the spool pin so that the thread is pulling from underneath. Take your spool holder and hold the spool of thread in place. Take your thread and wrap it around the silver thread guide. Go around the outside of the thread guide and pull tight. Then you're going to take your thread and go up through one of those tiny little holes from the inside up. Place the bobbin on the bobbin winder spindle and then hold your thread a couple of inches above the bobbin. Turn the light on your sewing machine. Slide the bobbin winder spindle to the right. Your LCD screen should say bobbin winding. You can put your speed setting lever on the second speed. Push down on your foot pedal. Hold on to the thread and begin winding your bobbin. You'll notice the thread winds from top to bottom and then back up, holding on to the thread to provide the tension to wind a proper bobbin. Stop when you have enough thread on your bobbin. Take your scissors and cut the thread you've been holding on to all the way off. Cut the thread somewhere in the middle here. Slide your bobbin to the left. So now your bobbin winder spindle is to the left and it says on the LCD screen 10 foot A. Remove your bobbin and part 1 is now complete. With threading the machine is to thread the upper machine. We're going to follow 5 thread guides. Thread guide 1 is labeled here, thread guide 2 is labeled here, and number 3 is here. 4 and 5 are metal parts that I'll show you in a moment. You want to do this step with the sewing machine light off for your safety. So thread guide number 1 is the white thread guide. Go behind thread guide number 1, follow down the right hand side of the machine, go over and up the left hand side. When you get to the take up lever, go from right to left and pull forward. You're going to stop at this point, open up your machine, and check to see that you've done step 1, 2, and 3 correctly. You'll know that you've done it correctly if you see the little lever moving when you pull on the thread, and if you see the thread going through the take-up lever from right to left through the hole. When those things have been done, now you're ready for thread guide number 4, which is a metal part right here. You're going to take the thread and go from right to left, and it automatically slides into thread guide 4. Thread guide 5 is this little metal piece here. For thread guide 5, you're going to go left to right, and it slides right in place. The final step in part 2 is to thread the needle. A couple of tips. Leave the light off for your safety because the light indicates that there could be power and you don't want the needle to go up and down when your fingers are near it. You want to give your fingers more room, so put your presser foot down with the presser foot lifter. Take your scissors and make a clean cut. And then you're going to thread the needle from front to back. As I demonstrated in class, if it's helpful to put a piece of paper behind the needle to help see the hole, you're welcome to do that as well. And of course, positive thoughts also help. You are now done with part 2. Part number 3 is to put the bobbin in the bobbin case. To begin, take your bobbin cover release button and slide it to the right. Your bobbin cover will come off. You're going to place your bobbin in the bobbin case counterclockwise. Please also note that the light is off during this process because we'll be working close to the needle. We're in the danger zone area. You're going to place the bobbin counterclockwise, and I always double check it by pulling on the thread to make sure it's going the opposite way of the clock. Then we need to slide this thread into groove A and groove B. I recommend that you take your thumb to hold the bobbin in place and then slide your thread along the top of this silver part here into groove A and into groove B. And you'll hear a couple of clicks as you do that to know that you successfully slid the thread into groove A and groove B. That's the end of part 3. Part number 4, threading the machine. We're going to start without having the bobbin cover on the bobbin case. It's called Draw Up the Bobbin because we're going to bring this bobbin thread up through this hole under the pressure foot. I like to use the analogy of going fishing. Most people have gone fishing before or understand the concept of fishing. The first concept of fishing is that you have to hang onto the fishing pole or it falls in the water. The second concept is that you need a hook to go into the water. The needle acts as our hook. And of course, under the water is under the throat plate where we're going to be grabbing the bobbin thread. To do this, you'll need to turn your light on. So turn on your light of your machine. Hold on to the top thread, your fishing pole. To put the hook into the water, we know that we use our up-down needle position button. Push that button once. The hook goes in looking for a fish. Push that button again. The hook comes back up and you can see it brought up a big, huge walleye. Now, to bring the walleye all the way up above the throat plate, use your scissors as a net. The reason we're not using our fingers is because the light is on and we'd be entering the danger zone with our fingers. So take and put the scissors right in the hole of the fish, in the loop, and pull up your thread. We're not quite ready to start sewing yet. We need to now replace our bobbin cover. Notice I turned the light off because I'm in the danger zone area. And then take both of your threads and make sure they're under the presser foot and push back. And now you're ready to start sewing.